What's up, guys? Welcome to another Trade Destinations video with your Young Guns podcast. Today, we're going to be covering Brock Boeser. So, Brock Boeser, interesting case because not so long ago we had JT Miller, who was the most sought out Vancouver Canuck that was most likely to be traded. All of a sudden, now rumors are coming out that Brock Boeser is the number one guy because he's a restricted free agent. Um, he has a lot of value. He's 25 years old, right wing player, elite sniper, being currently paid approximately $5.8 million. So obviously he has a lot to provide for a team. Obviously, also for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they're saying, let's move Brock Boeser. Why? Because JT Miller has more to provide to the team. He's a center, he's a left wing, he's a right winger. I would say even his leadership qualities are better. He's a better playmaker, and he's able to score goals. Brock Boeser, in my opinion, is a one-dimensional player, meaning he's purely offense and he's just a sniper. And because they're kind of in cap hell, they're gonna have to move a contract because you can't keep everybody. Unfortunately, there's so many great players on the Vancouver Canucks, but you know because there's a salary cap, you just can't keep everybody. So the case as of right now, it stands that Brock Boeser is going to be the guy to go, whether it's in the off season or at the trade deadline. I think he's obviously the guy that's going to end up being traded over JT Miller. But again, if JT Miller is able to get better offers in terms of prospects and NHL players and picks, then I think he's going to be the guy to go. But it really comes to like the best offer. Can you really refuse an offer for Brock Boeser or refuse a deal for JT Miller, or maybe you just keep both of them and you see how it pans out, and maybe you could try to move cap in other places. So I just wanted to add one last thing before you guys start. So Spectres Hockey was saying that um, they're only gonna move him if they know that they can reach an agreement with Brock Boeser. So obviously, again, we don't know what's gonna happen if it's gonna be JT Miller or Brock Boeser, but it's an interesting case. So let's go. Let's get it started, guys.
The first thing I'm gonna say is Brock Boeser this season's kind of struggled a little bit. Like he hasn't really lived up to the expectations that were set for him going into this season. And I think that look that has to play a role in this season. I mean, look, Travis Green was there, and Vancouver struggled under him, and there was a lot of issues there, and he didn't really get going, and so that plays a factor for sure. And I think he's played better under Bruce Boudreau than he did under Travis Green. But I still think that Brock Boeser, we've talked about Brock Boeser for a long time, about him changing a needed change of scenery, needing a change of scenery. And the reason for that is, look, Brock Boeser's never hit 30 goals in his career. The highest he's had is 29, which he came close to. And he also hasn't played a full season, except last year when he played in the shortened season. He played all 56 games and he played the full year. But he hasn't played a full 82-game season. And he's a guy that gets injured relatively often. And he's also a guy that's getting a qualifying offer of, I believe it's $7 million next season if the Vancouver Canucks choose to qualify him. That is money that I don't know if the Canucks are willing to do. And the reason for that is because Brock Boeser this season has not played like a $7 million player. And not only that, I think Vancouver, like Chris mentioned, is in cap hell as well. And so that doesn't help their case in that situation as well, because
Like,
they're not going to be able to pay
look how
him
much look how much they struggled to sign Pedersen and Hughes.
Yeah,
How much money they had to move around, like moving a guy like Roussell's contract to Arizona.
absolutely.
A lot of players that were signed to bad contracts under Benning that had to be somewhat resolved, and I wouldn't say they really necessarily won those deals, but the fact that they got rid of those contracts was a win in itself in order to sign those two players. So
Yeah.
now you're back in the same spot. And now we have to move money around to sign Besser. And can they do it again? That's the main question.
I look, I think at the end of the day, I mean, it depends on what Vancouver's like plan is, right? What's your plan? Because again, why, like, the only way Vancouver trades him, like you mentioned, is if they come is if they can't reach an agreement. But besides that, I mean, he's 25 years old. You know, he's a guy who's guaranteed 20 goals, which, I mean, that's a given. You're guaranteed 25, 20 goals out of Brock Besser, uh, pretty much. And I mean, on an 82 game pace, on the right team, he could hit 30 and maybe even 40. And I know that's a bold statement to say considering he hasn't hit 30 in his career. But the guy hasn't played a full season in the NHL. And when he has, he's been on pace for about 30, 40 goals. So we're talking about a guy who can score and put the puck in the net. The question's going to become, is the team that he gets traded to, or are the Vancouver Canucks going to put him in a position where he's going to be able to score at the level that he's expected to score? Because I think if you trade him, and if you trade him to a team that's got offense and a team that's going to put him in a position to succeed, on a very good team or even on a bad team, if they put him in a position where they're going to give him the opportunity to shoot the puck and play his style and play freely, he could definitely hit 40. He's not a bad hockey player. I think it's also about him being healthy as well. If he can stay healthy and play a full 82 game season, then anything's possible. Chris, what do you think?
Well, speaking of perfect place and perfect opportunity to get goals, I think I'm gonna move in right away into the first team that I think he's gonna end up on.
Let's go. Let's go
And
into
there's
it.
So
5 teams, by the way, guys.
yeah, so I think it's honestly, it's not rumored or anything, but I think the Detroit Red Wings would be a solid location for him to play. They got pieces to move.
Joe
Uh,
Valeno, Philip Zadina,
yeah, they have second
yeah.
round picks and this and that. I don't think they'll part ways with their first, but they have like the capital second, to sweeten the deal or whatever. So he's going to be playing on some, with some great players. You got Raymond, who's doing great, Bertuzzi, Larkin. They do need a winger. I mean, they need a center as well, but they do need a winger who could score. And I think under Steve Eiserman and the coaching staff and the way they play offensively, I think he would be a perfect fit.
Yeah,
And
wow.
they're very young as well, right? It's a
Yeah,
very
and
young
he's
culture.
also 25. So in the end, I mean, you're getting like, how old is Zadina? I think 23.
23, I believe.
23. So you're getting two 23-year-old guys for, well, I mean, that's if they would give up those two guys. I think just Zadina and a second round pick and
No,
maybe like something
it's
else.
going to be a,
22.
a more
Zadina's 20.
significant deal.
Zadina's 22. Yeah.
Sorry?
Zadina's
Zadina's
22.
22.
22.
You know what I'm saying? So like, in the end, they're getting a player who's established and who's young and who's like still fits in the mold of we're getting younger, in Detroit with the whole rebuild situation
Yeah.
that's going on.
Yeah.
And Vancouver's getting two players. One that Zadina, who also needs a change of scenery. I think he would play really well over there. And you're getting I would say B-level prospect in Joe Valeno.
So I mean,
If
look,
if that's if that's what the
what
deal
I would
would be.
assume
Yeah, if that's what the trade
essentially
would
what
be.
I would assume is for the concerning the asking price of Brock Besser would be a first round pick needs to be included and a top prospect because Brock Besser is a proven NHL player.
Yeah.
Zadina and Valeno, they made the NHL, they made the jump to the elite level, the pro level. But the thing is, though, are they really established? And the answer is not really. They need a
Well, I
change
mean,
of scenery.
Well,
if
here's
you're
the thing, though. The reason why I don't think Detroit would put a first round pick in there is because you're essentially getting two former first round picks who made the jump already and are somewhat pretty
So you're
good
saying
players.
include them within the same deal?
but
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's a little bit too much, but I mean, I would include both of them. Maybe there's the Capitals second, and maybe like I don't know, another fourth round pick or fifth. I think
I
that's
think
because keep in mind you still have to. There's no guarantee this guy's signing with Detroit just
I
because
think
he
he
gets there.
would.
They
I
just
mean
get
I mean
just
if
get
he,
his
if
rights.
Yzerman is capable of doing
he's
pretty
got
much
his right, they've got
anything.
his rights. So I think
Yeah,
he
they
would
have
sign.
his rights, but then nothing's stopping him from saying, "Oh, I don't want to play here."
Yeah, but
You
Detroit
never
is a
know.
team that's trending upwards, and the fact that he's going to be surrounded by guys like Moritz Seider, Nedeljkovic as a goaltender, you have Evanson coming up, you have Hronik on defense too. You have Lucas Raymond, you have Larkin, Bertuzzi. Um, that's enough for me if I'm a player to stick around to be part of that youth
and
movement.
and, and also it fits in. I mean, like Detroit's gonna have if I'm not mistaken, they're gonna have $35.7 million in they have $35.7 million in current cap space. So
Yeah, they
No,
Yeah,
definitely have
which
the
is gonna
movie.
go. Which
They have
is
the
gonna
movie.
go down. Which is
They have
gonna
the
go down.
yeah,
money
it is, but they
to
have
make
the
the
money to
move.
sign him.
They have the money to make the move. They have the assets to make the move. And like Yzerman has stated not so long ago, it's time to make the jump. It's time to make significant moves in order to improve the team. I think they're ready to stop rebuilding and stick with the prospects they have and the picks they have. And if there's going to be a guy on the market that's available that's going to make them significantly better, they're going to make that move.
And
Yeah.
And for a guy that's
yeah,
25 years old, that's an American player, and also that he's an elite sniper and he's probably going to represent Team USA eventually if the NHL goes back to the Olympics. I think this is a absolute win for Detroit if they do that.
And
I
let me be,
just
and and I see either JT Miller or Brock Besser. If, honestly, either or could go to Detroit. I think either or would be a great
Yeah,
fit.
JT Miller has the connection with Yzerman. You guys could check out that video. We
I
speak quite a bit about that.
I think personally, I mean, in terms of him going to Detroit, I think it's a possibility, definitely. I think it would be a great fit too. But I mean, obviously, there's Lucas Raymond over there, and he's kind of projected to be that sniper in Detroit. So it depends on how many snipers and what the route is for Detroit. But I could definitely see that happening. One team that I think should really go for him, and I know that they need goaltending right now, and they're looking for that. But I'm saying in terms of offense and playing with this with Jack Hughes, I think would be really fun. I think the New Jersey Devils are a very, very interesting team for Brock Besser. And the reason I say that is because, again, the Devils, apart from Jack Hughes and yes, Nico Hischier, they don't really have that, sniper that the guy that passed the puck to and score 30 goals. And I mean, Brad's had a really good year this year, and he's played really, really well. And
I think
obviously,
he's
Jack
very
Hughes,
underrated,
that's
Jesper
it.
Brad. I think he's
That's
very
it.
good at what he does, but I think they need more than
That's
just
it.
Jesper
But
Brad.
Brat's been good this year, and obviously Jack Hughes has been good this year when healthy and when playing. And I mean, Nico Hischier too hasn't been that bad. But I think adding a guy like Brock Besser makes Detroit makes sorry not Detroit makes New Jersey a different team, a better team and a different team, and it makes them dangerous. Because then all they would have to do is go out a goaltender, and they've already got Dougie Hamilton over there, and they've got Detroit. New Jersey's got some
Oh
good
my God,
pieces.
Luca!
I'm
I know,
sorry,
I know
That's
you're
because
so
just
red in your
he's
jersey,
thinking
but
of
Jesus,
he's thinking of Devils and
that's it.
Detroit.
That's it.
That's
I'm
why
going crazy. I'm going crazy today. New Jersey. New
they both
Jersey
start with the
has
same
New
letter.
yeah.
Jersey has great assets to give up for Brock Besser, and I actually think it's a great fit for him. I think it's probably the best fit for him in my opinion, just because I think it's a team that, I mean, I don't know if they're trending upwards, but they're in a better position cap wise, and I
Yeah,
think moving
definitely.
forward than Vancouver will be.
And the good thing about a good thing about the New Jersey Devils, sorry to
And
cut you
so
off, is that
with the other Hughes,
they're losing potentially PK Subban during the free agency, which is not really a loss
I don't
because they're
think it's
shedding
potential.
his.
I think it's happening. They're going to lose
Yeah,
Peter.
okay, yeah, he's just gonna
Yeah,
go
that's
then.
7 million off the books right there.
So
It's
right
nice.
there, you have a lot more money, not only to make the trade, but also to sign Brock Besser. And again, um, all the teams on our list are all American, and I think Brock Besser, especially with the whole like COVID restrictions and everything, being an American in Canada, it's difficult for Americans. So I think Americans that are on the move or on the market or whatever, um, I think they would prefer to be traded to an American team.
Yeah.
So I don't see him not signing with the New Jersey Devils or Detroit or any of the teams that we mentioned here. But Pavel Zaka has been one guy that's been connected in trade rumors. It's a guy that needs a change of scenery, just like Veleno, just like Zadina. These guys they still have what it takes to be elite players in the league. The thing is that they haven't lived up to expectations yet. So that it comes to my next point, which is they need a change of scenery. And this is not only something that we agreed on, but it's also something that analysts have been
I
saying
wouldn't
as
say
well.
I wouldn't say Valeno needs a change of scenery. I think he needs a little bit more time to develop, but I do agree that Zadina and Zaka need a change of scenery. I think Valeno's the type of guy that if you want to make a trade, I think he's the first guy you move. But I don't necessarily think he needs a change of scenery because again, he hasn't played that much. And I mean, I know that he hasn't been great I mean, he's kind of been slow, but it's still really early to say if he needs a change of scenery or not, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
anyways,
We're gonna move on to the next team, which is the LA Kings. That's a team that's also been linked to him in terms of interest and also in a need of acquiring a guy who provides elite elite sniper who provides goal scoring. So they have prospects like Alex Turcotte. They have Martin Cromack as well, Samuel Helenas, and most notably Gabriel Velarde, who's been the biggest piece when it comes to dangling trade bait, in order to add somebody that helps their team now. Again, 25-year-old elite sniper in Brock Boeser. I think that's a win for anybody to add. So,
Yeah,
LA right now, they're fighting for a playoff spot. They're, in my opinion, ready to make the playoffs again. I think they're gonna make it. They're playing like they're a playoff team. Um, Obviously, there's been so many additions during the off season and also in management. But we're not gonna get into details with that. But the team is significantly better. The goalies are putting up really good numbers. There's a little like I don't know, internal battle between Quick and Peterson. So it's looking good for LA. There's definitely an upside on that. So maybe they're like like to compensate our players, we're gonna add a guy like Brock Boeser that doesn't only help us now but also helps us in the future. So obviously they're gonna have to give up one of these prospects in order to get a guy like Brock Boeser. Brock Boeser, even though he's having somewhat of a down year, he's not going to be traded for dirt cheap. They're going to get full value or at least close to what they want in terms of value. Maybe they even get more. You never know what a team is willing to pay for a guy like Brock Boeser. Getting snipers in this league, um, yeah, they're one-dimensional players for people that like to assess snipers.
yeah.
Maybe they don't have like a good defensive game. They struggle when it
As
comes to
defense, I mean, he's averaging -12 throughout
yeah,
his
and
career.
it's normal because snipers are not meant to provide any defense. They're there to provide goals. But sometimes you can work on that aspect of the game. But LA, I think it's an interesting destination. Who wouldn't want to go to California? The team is indeed trending upwards, just like Detroit is. But they're out of the three teams that we mentioned here that are trending upwards. They're in the best position moving forward because they are in a playoff spot currently.
I think LA makes a ton of sense, and I mean, look, you have to look at it from a certain perspective. Um, Byfield, I know, has been out a little bit, and he's projected to be the next big center for LA. Let's hope he becomes that. And obviously, Kopitar is not getting any younger, but he's still playing really really well, and whatever. And I think LA is trying to make one last effort at maybe going for a cup. I'm not saying they're going to go for it. I think they're far behind, but I think that they're going to try to make an effort for it. And I think if there's an opportunity for them to get Brock Besser, I think it helps them for their future and their present. And I think not only that, LA is a great team, and I think that they've got a lot of really good pieces. Like we mentioned, there's a lot of really good rookies, and I think there's guys that they can move. I mean, look, you look at their young core. There's guys like Akil Thomas. There's guys like Martin Kromiak, like you mentioned. There's guys like Alex Turcotte. You know, LA's got a
I
lot
don't
of
see them trading Alex Turcotte though.
no,
That
I don't
guy's
think
kind of a
Turcotte,
stud.
but I'm saying
These are just
I'm saying
possibilities, prospects that
I'm saying
they may
they've
be
got
willing to move.
yeah, I'm saying they've got prospects that they can move, and I think that LA is one of those teams that I think are willing to do that. I don't know if they're willing to trade their first round pick, but I think they're willing to trade some of their prospects if they can help get some help now. And I think Brock Besser would be a great fit in LA as well, just because I think it works, and I think playing alongside a guy like Adrian Kempe and Anze Kopitar, or even next to Philip Danault. And I know people are going to call me crazy, but Danault's had a really good season this year. And I think Brock Boeser playing next to a guy like Philip Danault, I mean, we saw what he did with Brendan Gallagher and Thomas Tatar. I think with a guy like Brock Boeser, he could definitely change his career, turn his career around a little bit too. So there's definitely some opportunities there in LA for sure.
Dano being there, taking off taking away the defensive responsibilities from
Yeah,
Anze Kopitar has not only helped elevate Anze Kopitar offensively, but it also helped Philip Dano. He's scoring goals, he's contributing on plays and stuff.
yeah,
He's never been a bad player when it came to that. But the fact that he's able to excel when people just call him a one-dimensional player, but in terms of what we're talking about here is defensively, um, and people saying that he's not worth his contract, people are eating their words, and
yeah, of
LA
course.
is proving to be a surprising team this year. They were out of the playoffs for a long time, and then recently, they're on a 5-game winning streak now. It's like holy crap! Everyone's contributing. They're working as a team. The thing is that they're a team that has a couple of veterans like Kopitar, Brown. Quick and Dowdy. So it's like, do you want to give up some prospects and maybe potentially your first round pick this year to make one last push, or are you just gonna like sit back, stick with the team you have, and be like, you know what, we'll see what this team is capable of doing. If we go far, we go far. If not, then we continue with our plan, which is continuing the retool or rebuild with LA, because again, they haven't moved
Oh,
everybody concerning veterans, but they have moved like guys like Toffoli in the
Yeah.
past, and guys that have won cups with them in the past too. So yeah, it's very interesting in terms of LA's interest in Brock Besser. So another team we wanted to mention, and this is a team that's not in the playoffs as well, the New York Islanders, a team that's desperately in need of goal scoring and in need an elite winger to play with Matthew Barzal, because Barzal could be a even better player than he is if he has that guy with him. He needs a guy that essentially, creating a dynamic duo. You have Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, you have Crosby, Gensel. You know, every team, every playmaker needs a sniper. And in this case, getting a guy like Besser, who's young, around the same age as Barzell, it's really going to help the Islanders excel in scoring goals. They're known as the best defensive team, or one of the best defensive teams, but in terms of goals, that's what they lack. So
Yeah.
guys that they could potentially give up, like the prospect pool is not the greatest, but they have Kiefer Bellows, who's currently on the team. He's young. He could be included in a deal. I've seen a lot of mock deals where he's included. There's Samuel Bolduc. He's a defenseman. I think maybe Vancouver would be interested in adding a defenseman, because we all know that Quinn Hughes, when it comes to his defensive numbers, is not the greatest. He's more of an offensive defenseman. And you have Ekman Larson, who's up there in age. He's not the same player he once was. And then forget Tyler Myers and all those other guys. They're just, in my
Yeah.
opinion, they're not like
Well,
good enough.
I think
So yeah, and you even have Robin Salo, who's a good
that's
defensive
it.
prospect, and I
Well, I think
highly doubt that they would trade Atu Radi, because he's like their best prospect. And for Besser, I don't think that's gonna happen. And there's also a notable mention as well. There's Otto Kuvala as well.
Cardula.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kuvala. Yeah.
But what's interesting about the Islanders, and we mentioned it in the video, the previous video that we just recorded.
Yeah,
Um,
what went wrong with
well,
New
about
York
the
Islanders?
Islanders,
Yeah.
yeah, and basically we talked about how they needed scoring and how they should target big name players, right? Like Philip Forsberg, Vladimir Tarasenko. We obviously didn't mention Brock Besser, but we're mentioning him now. I think that like I mentioned last time with the Islanders, they're one of the best defensive teams in the league. It's just about lacking of offense. They don't have any offense, and I think Brock Besser being on the Islanders or playing for the Islanders, if that's what ends up happening, if that's the direction that it ends up going, there's definitely a situation there that could definitely help the Islanders and Brock Besser out. Because let's be honest, if he goes to the Islanders, he's on the top line with Anders Lee and Matt Barzal, and like he's on the power play, and he's playing under Barry Trotz. And to be honest, like next to Matty Barzell and Anders Lee, you're guaranteed 30 goals. Like for me, in my opinion, if Matt Barzell's passing the puck to you, all right, and you're a sniper, like you're guaranteed 30 goals, in my opinion.
And Barry Trotz would be familiar with this type of player because he had that in Washington with Alexander Ovechkin. I'm not saying
Yeah,
Besser is Ovechkin. I'm
of
just
course
saying
not.
that Besser is a elite sniper. Obviously,
Yeah.
Ovechkin is the best goal scorer of all time, in my opinion. And he will pass Gretzky. That is a bold take. I mean, but it's a
Oh, no, I
realistic
agree.
take
I
as
yeah, it
think
could
well.
happen.
you
Yeah.
will. You will.
So there's gonna be some familiar, like being familiar with a type of player like that, and pairing him up with a elite playmaker in Barzell works. Um, the thing is with Lou is we know how old he is and how he loves his veterans. Is he really gonna want to give up assets to go acquire a young guy when we know that he likes to sign guys like Zdeno Chara and Zach Parise, and like I don't know, like I don't know what Lou's thinking, to be honest. I don't know what his long
Yeah.
term plan is. He did give up Devin Taves for picks when essentially he could have been their best defenseman right now. So it's very interesting concerning Lou. We never know what to expect from him. I just hope that Besser doesn't really grow that much facial hair anyway, so I think he would fit in New York. So on the Long Island, so that's interesting. And our last team, and this is a playoff team, top five contender for the Stanley Cup this year, the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers Why are we mentioning them? Well, they want everybody.
They're
Yeah,
linked to
they have
they're linked to the whole like league. Just every
yeah,
player they're linked to.
they
Yeah,
could get anybody they want, and because of this, I think it's because of Kraft. How do you pronounce his name?
Kravtsov.
Kravtsov.
They
You
have
know, I mean,
Hiddle as well. They have
yeah,
Elias Lundqvist, and they also maybe in this case, and this is a bold take. This is my bold take. I know Chris likes having his bold takes. I think Capo Caco would be included in this deal if
hundred
Brock Besser
percent. The
gets.
guy's a bust. He's gonna get traded.
I think he goes to. I think he would go to Vancouver in a deal for Brock Besser.
He's as good as the squids that they throw on the ice on Detroit.
That's kind of mean, but
The truth.
uh,
At least he didn't say Lafreniere this time, so
yeah,
I'll give him credit.
Well,
For that.
it's getting there. Don't worry.
No, no,
no,
hey, yo, Lafreniere's been playing well lately.
yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Well,
You
look,
never know. You could develop into something good, and then I'll eat my words. I don't
we
mind.
I
all
I
we
don't
all
know.
know
I
we
really
all
want
know
to.
Good
that
for
the New
him.
York Rangers have enough offense. Their top six is basically solidified. They're looking for a more defensive, shutdown type of forward. That's why they've been linked to guys like Terry Lekkonen, Kale Clutterbuck. But again, the Rangers are interested in everything and everyone, and they have the assets to give
Yeah.
up. The thing is that I don't think that's really a necessity. So that's why I'm gonna say I don't think he
Yeah,
goes to the New York
I would see
Rangers.
more JT Miller being traded there, if
That's what I
anything.
was just about to say.
Yeah,
But you know, I mean, it's anything's possible. You know, they're in a great position where they could afford to get anybody and sign them the season afterwards.
All I'm gonna say is look at Chris Kreider this season and imagine if that was Brock Besser. That's all I'm gonna
yeah.
say.
But what are
So
your to conclude this episode? Essentially, what's your prediction? Where does he end up?
uh I think he's gonna end up in New Jersey, personally.
What about you, Chris?
I honestly believe that Steve Eiserman is going to try to pick this guy up. I think he's going to end up in Detroit.
And for me, I'm gonna have to go with LA.
Oh wow,
Actually,
it's a three-way split.
this is the first time we've all
He's gonna
had
end up going to the
different
Rangers, and we're all gonna be
opinions.
like, "Shit."
Wow. No, I don't. I just don't. I just don't. I mean, I
Watch
get
him
it.
end up in Arizona.
I mean, look,
Oh God.
no. I mean, they do have a surplus of picks and prospects, so
He
maybe.
doesn't fit the mold of what they're
But
looking
yeah,
for.
but yeah, those are our takes,
He's
guys.
not looking for anything. They're
We
just
want to
trading
hear
him.
what you guys have to say. So write it in the comment section below. Vancouver Canuck fans, are you scared to give up on Brock Besser? Do you think at 25 years old, that's a way too young to give up on a player? He has yet to hit his prime. Maybe you're looking forward to moving a guy like JT Miller, who's older. But again, JT Miller, I think, in my opinion, provides more to the team than Brock Besser, and he signed to a longer contract as well. So that's like the pluses, or the pros basically, concerning JT Miller. Brock Besser, struggling here and inconsistent, but that's how it is when you're a sniper. It's all about, you're not the most consistent player because you're one dimensional. You're there to score goals, and if you're not scoring goals, you're not really doing much else. So thank you guys so much for listening to our video. We're going to continue our trade destination video series as we continue hearing the latest rumors, as we try our best to address all the recent rumors that we hear, the latest rumors. So we just want to hear what you guys think, and maybe if there's any guys that we haven't spoken about that you would like to make a video about. Up next, concerning our trade destinations video, if there's no trades happening anytime soon, it will indeed be Philip Forsberg, because that's a guy who's resurfaced in trade rumors after we all thought that he would have signed a contract because Nashville's been doing so much better. But we just wanted to say we'll see you on the
Also,
next episode. And
also,
yeah, okay, yeah.
also like the
Thanks for cutting me
TikTok.
off.
Also, check out our TikTok too. We have a TikTok account, so please check that out as well.
And
Thank
we'll make sure that Luca does not mix up Detroit and New Jersey.
you.
We'll give him a
Alright,
lot of
guys.
lessons. We'll show him diagrams of the jerseys. Okay, that those are the Devils. Those are the Red Wings. And stop mixing them up because we're supposed to be legit.
I'm
Anyways, guys,
sorry.
thank you so much for listening to our episode. We'll see you on the next one. Have a nice night.